What's the status, 3?
I'm good, just making the world a better place, that's all.
Domain expansion.
Road 1 production.
Welcome to the abyss. The unstoppable one. I am the illest, no doubt. Sporadic, eternal fire. There is no putting me out. I'm sending fiery rain, destroying cities and towns. The government never changed, so I'm taking them out. The FBI is a bitch. The CIA is a bitch. The NSA is a bitch. I know they watching this shit. We fuck around and get hit. My rebels fully equipped to take the enemy down and ride out in their whip. And counting all of the chips. We about to go on the flight. World leaders get hit. Assassination delight. We fly out through the night like Batman in this bitch. Outlandish with kicks, punches, and damage and shit. I call my gun Michael Knight. That bitch come with a kit. AI robotic weapons. That bitch be talking this shit. Explosive hollows exist and turn your body to mist. The god of fire is here. Now welcome to the abyss. 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 The immovable one. Welcome to my domain. The chopper fade into pieces. Throw away the remains. Rapid fire your chains. Hear you screaming in pain. My pride water your flame. Disintegrate all you lanes. Your fears will never change. So I'm hunting you down. I know you got me surrounded. I'm still taking you out. I'm hacking shit with my phone. Turn out all of the lights. Popping cops as I go. I gotta get through the night. In the heat of the night. I keep a hit with the sight. In your sleep as I snipe. While you sleep with your wife. I'm hopping from roof to roof. Ninja warrior shit. My RPG is equipped. Your helicopter got hit. I cause a solar eclipse. And send a fiery storm. Exploding government buildings. Revolution reborn. I am the shit, just admit. This is that warrior mix. The god of fire is here. Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss. Let's go. Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss.
We'll be bringing you our countdown to the end of days, along with all you
Welcome to the abyss. Welcome to the abyss.
The Bakushi is the master of illusion, and if everyone believes the illusion, it becomes reality. Bakushi thinks he's won the game, but he didn't count on a pinch hitter.
All is continuous vibration, always in motion. Conductor of energy, a salt in the ocean. Serpent is the sine wave, polarities interwoven. A chemical sorcery, elixirs and potions. Resonant frequencies, molecular explosions. Your daily programs is heavy doses of hypnosis. People walk around blind even though their eyes are open. No time for ideological salesmen with biblical notions. That box in your room, televised lies through your vision. It doesn't matter your race, status, or religion. The longer I have to beat you when your mind is locked in prison. That food is filled with toxins, it's why you can't think clear. Illusion of choice is your option while keeping all in fear. Load up all your weaponry, the revolution is here. I said load up all your weaponry, the revolution is here.
We ain't in the same place, or occupy the same space, so get the fuck out my face.
In the instant, I changed the mission with photosynthesis. Witness the synthesis, ripping endless on instruments. Feel the frequency, energy off this Hennessy synergy. Literally those that take us to infinity. Reading articles, all is horrible, calling audibles. I'm remarkable. I shot a fed at a carnival. Dust and particles, follicles gon' be everywhere. Heavy pair of some pistols, I shot him holding that teddy bear. Fuck the system, let's keep it simple, let's raise the temple. Make them triple while you're going to where they all assemble. Not Avengers, I'm the Avenger, I seek the injure. Kept my temper till I stuck the hidden blade up in her. Fuck the ruler, here's what they doing to you. Poison water in the food is what you put into you. I'm the shooter with new maneuvers. Caught back to Ruger, super trooper. He is gonna need a pooper scooper. The revenge of Montezuma. Rocking my Pumas, uppercut like a Kuma, sending you straight to Luna. Cosmic verses from universes on new excursions, emerging the virgin. I pull back the iron curtain. War leaders are war eaters, born cheaters, war sneakers, rearrange their core features. Born reaper, hurricane, the sword keeper, form ether, burn all of the mold geezers. Up in government, parliament, bitch, I'm tarnishing armaments, ain't no bargaining, throw a bomb in the audience. I'm the guardian, strange you all in the cardigan, rearrange the universe, I am the artisan.
We ain't in the same place, or occupy the same space, so get the fuck out my face.
As a king, fighting the spirit of Mesa King, vibing to my queen, playing the tambourine, while I'm eating the tangerine. My plasma was replaced with gasoline, got the blood of the Elohim, manifesting through a dream, a shit you never seen. I got the eyes of Medusa, and the hands of Wolverine, astral project with my inner being. We locked in the inner ring, hoping the Anunnaki intervene. While the world is under siege, they got an abyss under the sea, living underneath. Lightning struck me standing under a tree while I was crumbling weed, and an angel swooped down, put me under her wing. Now she shields me from my desires the devil brings. Say my name in vain and you will never bleed. Say my name in vain and you will never bleed.
The Bakushi is the master of illusion. And if everyone believes the illusion, it becomes reality.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. So I forgot to put in the title, Mr. Viktor Schauberger. But yeah. For the most part, today's going to be about architecture besides the couple pages I'm going to read. Let me see if I could fit all these pictures. I went architecture hunting this morning. While everybody was asleep, farting in their dreams, I was out getting it like the early bird gets the worm. While cats were asleep with the germ. Let's see if all my pictures will fit. And I got video. I found a building that was buried next to the Amtrak. Now, from what I'm told, it's weird, man. Like, it has even some pictures I found of this alleged clock tower. Only a fool would believe that that's all that is, because all around the city there's more churches with this alleged clock tower. Same fucking shit, except it don't have gargoyles on the church one. So my question is, what buildings used to be there? There's an abandoned church I found that's like buried in a corner in the woods. You wouldn't see it unless you went down this dead end street. Well, it's not really a dead end, but it is. It's a dead end if you took a left. And then I found an abandoned parking garage in the corner of these woods. Never even knew it was there. Or maybe I did. I just haven't seen it from this angle. Somebody told me it used to be an old tire shop. Then I heard you can tell, like, from the bridge. I took a picture. You could see where it, because the people, there's homeless people, I guess, that go down in there, and there's a bunch of like train track wood. And if people know train track wood, that shit's soaked in like an oil. It's not fucking light at all. That's why, you know, they need machines to move that wood. That shit's so heavy. Because I used to play on the train tracks when I was younger. And to lift one of those, you need at least 4 people. Unless, you know, that's when we were teenagers. Or young, 11, 12. But people probably aren't into art, are not into architecture like me. I'm into finding out why these historians be lying, you know, trying to cover up. You know, I wonder how many civilizations were slaughtered and written out of history. How many lands were conquered, or how many chiefs or leaders of groups sold out their people, right? Because that happens too, where a chief would so-called sell land or sell their people out, just to get what they want. So that happens all the time, and it's usually your own so-called people, always. Because that's how they infiltrate, right? Your own people got to sell out in order for them. Anyway. And you could also tell they elevated a lot of downtown Hartford. Now, my question is, they didn't knock the buildings down to elevate. So it looks like they surrounded the buildings with dirt to elevate these streets. So the question is, how far down do these buildings go? Because they're near the river. And I showed old pictures of how it flooded. So I think they pretty much raised, like even the Capitol has a big hill. My question is, they couldn't raise the Capitol onto the hill. So they probably put dirt around it. Unless it's always been on that hill. But I'll show some pictures in a minute. Let me see. Let's see what uploaded here. Okay. I'll show this picture. And this is what I mean by, you could see, this is Main Street downtown. You could see how it goes down, right? That street down there, right behind that, if you kept going behind those buildings, is the river, Connecticut River. So I think, and you could tell with this building that that's just dirt being put around these buildings. So these buildings are pretty much, I don't have that picture of Hartford flood from 1890, I think it was, or earlier. I heard there was floods in the 60s or 70s too, so I don't know. What's up, Alchemos? I had to go put my feet to the ground today and get real pictures so I could do real research. And that's what I like to do. Oh yeah, let me upload. Oh man, these videos too, what sucks about them is I had my phone straight up and I gotta alter the videos so they're the long way. That's the only thing I fucked up at. But other than that, the recordings are good. And if people know, they know this is my favorite building right here. I couldn't really get a good picture, but this architecture has been there a long time, in my opinion. I'm going to show more of these pictures. I'm just going to read a little bit. I was watching, what's his dude's name? How can I forget his name, man? Minds Unveiled. And he has some good, he does good research, very good, and he has great content. Minds Unveiled. Shout out to him. Man, I learned a few things I didn't know about the Moors this morning. About the Moors. Now the Moors say they built all this shit. There's a lot of architecture, but I think they adopted it just as well as everyone else. Because if the Moors were the creators of that architecture, why aren't they building it today? Even in the time they said they weren't building that stuff. So that's my argument. I don't see the Moors creating any more buildings like that or any architecture. Even in the 1800s, they weren't building more stuff. So I think there was a major flood. And if you notice, people all around this realm have the same beginning stories of some flood. And he made some good points with the Christian-Muslim war. History has been altered like a motherfucker. This place, we got the leftovers of this place. That's what we got. When the trees were huge and the architecture, I can only imagine how this place looked. The golden cities, crystal cities. Like even when you go out in the woods here in Connecticut, you find these huge stones in these like brooks. It's just all rocks. Like up in Farmington, Connecticut, you can go rafting. I want to go there and get video. There's just huge stones all in the river. My question is, where do these stones come from? What building existed to where there's thousands upon thousands of stones? Huge. I don't even think a crane could lift these stones. Excuse me. My question is, there had to be some building there. And this isn't stones like fucking cement. This is solid. Kind of looks like, I don't even know what to call it. You know them stones that at the quarries they blow up and they use them for like stone roads and shit. But that's what these big huge rocks are. But big solid pieces, probably as big as some of them are probably as big as a garage, a small garage, a one-car garage. Some are as big as a car. Some are as big as a bike. Even one's big as a bike. Nobody's pushing that. And for all the people that think rocks just form out of the ground out of nowhere, that's bullshit. Any type of brick or anything has to be contained, and it was once a soft mud with water before it turns hard. I just don't think rocks just appear out of fucking thin air or even from pressure in the ground. Nah, Nope. So, and then I found this map that he showed, which is interesting. I never knew Connecticut had 2 parts. I think that's interesting. How Connecticut used to be near the Great Lakes. Huh. Interesting. What's up, fools and tools? Moon rocks. They come from space. Probably not. What's up, Sonny Yahweh? Son Anya. I keep saying son of Yahweh. Just appreciate that you were around in the 80s as well. What's up, Super Sidewinder? I'm trying to see this chat here. Boop. Let me do this. What's up, Dom? You guys like my rebel flag? I found a lot too. I was looking at pictures of before I start reading. I'm only gonna read about 4 pages. I really don't want to read, but I also don't want to not read because my goal is to get this book done. It's 212 pages. I'm on page 73. When I hit 106, I'll be half done. Odin. I see a lot of symbology in these old Odin books. The pictures, the one eye, the halo with the crown, the Bahara he holds in his hand, or it's a double-sided trident. He's got the Nike shoes with the wings on. There's so much symbology with Odin here. The one and only Odin who got his right eye plucked out for all the knowledge and wisdom. And it's just something about this tower I'm going to show you guys. When I show it, I should have went on the property. It's considered a landmark, right? And usually when the state has a piece of land and they call it a landmark, you know, what's so special about a fucking clock tower, which it was never just a clock tower. And I'm going to prove it. But, yo, what's going on here? I can't scroll. What you sharing, Dom? What links are these? What up? All right. Also, before I start, I'm going to do pictures from the 1800s when Hartford still had dirt roads. I'm working on New Britain, Connecticut too, but considering I owe money in the New Britain library, they're real pricks, those people there. These old ladies, man. It's like they're just fucking crabby old fucks. And they want to hold me accountable for something in middle school. I'm fucking 44 years old. You're still holding that $16? Like, you gotta be kidding me, man. It's like 30-something years ago. These people are inevitable. But yeah, they don't let you pretty much look into the newspaper clippings or a lot of the old stuff they have locked in the basement if you owe money because they suck. But I might pay the $16. They need it. You know, if they're holding that fucking 30-something years, they must be broke, the library. Like, who does that? Shit, you could file for bankruptcy after 7, and the library's still trying to hold me accountable 30-something years later. All right, let me set this up. All right. Let's see. Oh no, why can't I? Oh, what page was I on? 73. Alright, bet. I'm only gonna read like 4 pages. Because I know people, sometimes the knowledge is too much. It's overwhelming. And a lot of this stuff I'm about to read too, you know, with all these different words, you gotta take notes and really look into it. Alright. We are now confronted by a new question concerning the origin of nutrient salts required for plant growth, and by the even more complex problem of their extraction, transportation, and proper distribution. How these processes actually take place will be discussed later, where it should be noted that methods of nutrient supply will be described in general, without reference to other processes in the plants themselves. If, after infiltrating into the ground through clefts and fissures by virtue of its weight and often immense head of pressure, water penetrates the important thermal zones existing in the interior of the earth, and if it encounters the carbons or carbones, residues of vegetable matter present there, then a material transformation takes place in the substance that have come into contact with the water. In principle, the process is summarized by the equation. It says C plus H2O equals CO plus H2. Anyway, in the process, oxygen will dissociate from hydrogen. The renewed rise in temperature indirectly ensuing from the forces the humid water gas up towards the surface under enormous pressure. This new substance release carbonic acid into the suffused soil, resulting in the dissolution of salts, which at these high temperatures can not only be held in suspension, but also transported. This is the combination of H2O and CO2 into H2CO3. Under conditions of powerful alternating pressure, the following occurs. 1. Influx of water. 2. Superheating, a reaction due to the process of decomposition, which further leads to 3. The shutting off of the water supply. The repetition of these processes will pump this new mixture, the atmosphere, as it were, in the Earth's interior, and required by vegetation, in a 3-stroke rhythm towards the surface, dissolving salts en route. As a result of this pressure, the salts destined for vegetation are deposited along their prescribed pathways in the upper strata of the earth. This process of deposition takes place under a very specific temperature gradient through a filtering action of the soil, to be described later, an action which becomes all the more effective the further removed these vapors are from the heat source in the innermost regions of the earth. In other words, the more they cool off. At the same time, the salts are also graded according to quality. The hard to dissolve salts, rare salts, are deposited earlier. The more inferior salts dissolve later, due to the effect of low temperature in the ground, strata lying closer to the surface. Hence, we also find that the first genera of plants are mosses and algae. I thought it said algae, but it's algae. Those plants first able to take root and flourish on soil thus prepared. As long as the Earth's surface was devoid of vegetation, the sun's heat could penetrate to a certain depth. On the other hand, if the Earth's core, we also find a heat source which radiates heat towards the surface, and in the process of rising, of moving away from the center, this naturally decreases in strength. Somewhere below the surface, we therefore find a zone where the temperatures included by the sun and the Earth's core meet. Naturally, the line of demarcation between respective temperatures is neither sharp nor uniform, but will and can be of various dimensions, and hence at different depths, according to the composition of the geological strata and the energetic influence of both sources of heat. The alternation between night and day, as well as the seasons, gives rise to the constant fluctuation in the intensity of the sun's radiation. At the same time, the strength of the heat source inside the earth will be affected by the supply of combustible material and the influx of water, resulting in a continual upward and downward displacement of the deposition zone due to the distribution between the respective forces of heat sources. In this zone, which naturally has a relatively lower temperature, the mixture of rising gases condenses in conjunction with the simultaneous influx of oxygen from the surface regions. This condensation process inevitably results in the deposition of nutrient salts, which can only be dissolved in the oxygen deficient vapors form described earlier. They are now put to their intended use: the constitution, chemical composition, and hardening of the groundwater. The above process in the interior of the earth form the basis for production and supply of nutrients needed by vegetation, though perhaps sparse in the beginning. This primitive vegetation provides the bare ground with a protective covert against the effects of direct radiation. This cover, however, already reduces the power of the sun's rays quite considerably, so that shade, coolness, and humidity are created in the immediate vicinity of the root zone of the plants. As a result, the heat source of the Earth's core to also able to exert an influence on higher lying strata due to the resulting shift in the distribution of forces. Now, I got to stop real quick because it said right here, as the result, the heat source of the Earth's core. Now, how do they know the core of the Earth has a heat source when they didn't even drill past 8 miles? Fucking bullshit. Anyway, at this juncture, hold on. Either they know and they're lying about only drilling 8 miles, or they're lying and they really don't know because they only drilled 8 miles. But let me continue. At this juncture, particular attention should be drawn to the fact that the ground will also be warmed by the rising heat from below. The groundwater and its content of dissolved nutritive matter will be forced towards the surface without the traversed ground strata acting as a filter. In the opposite case, when the ground surface cools off, night cooling, that was odd. How did I lose my spot? All I did was look away and scroll down. Dude. Oh, I got it. The groundwater sinks because of its increasing weight and because of the simultaneous reduction in the upward force of the counter influence, namely the heat from below. The ground strata cools off, and the groundwater, which also sinks under these conditions, will be filtered for the first time. Nutrient salts will be deposited and remain behind the root zone of the plants, despite further subsidence of the water. The now nutrient-less water retreats into the earth in order to begin the whole process anew as the warmth of the rising sun begins to take effect. Since the world began, come on, stop it, like they know. Since the world began, this constantly self-repeating process has given rise to the creation of a nutrient depot just below the ground surface. Once this depot is saturated, the surplus automatically migrates towards higher and more sparsely vegetated strata due to the difference in prevailing temperatures of the respective locations, thus enabling the development of a more advanced form of vegetation at higher altitudes. The qualitative improvement in increasing luxuriance of the vegetation creates a constantly denser and thicker green mantle over the surface of the earth, offering an even greater greater impediment to the intrusive effect of direct radiation from the sun. The root system of plants will be more ramified and extend to greater depths. The potential for the uptake of nutrients will be greatly enhanced, stimulating further growth and development of plants. The increasing overall depth of the depot zone groundwater, thus brought about, result in a reduction of the space available to water vapors. As the volume of this space decreases, the pressure in it increases, through which, upon the lowering of the boiling point, the pressure further intensifies, leading to a revitalized supply of nutritive material. The more luxuriant the vegetation, the greater the detention of surface runoff, which the ground is now in a condition to absorb. The overchanging of the subterranean retention basin thus created leads to the rise of often mighty underground rivers, through which large quantities of water will be conducted back into the interior of the earth. Now, underground springs, that water must be just immaculately good for you. You know, these people that go underground in these caves, I need to find me a spot up near the reservoir underground and get me some underground water. Thus completing the final phase in Earth's internal water cycle. These processes again result in an increased supply of fresh nutrients by virtue of the Earth's internal circulation, whose significance has so far remained unrecognized. The aforementioned process that takes place within the Earth and laterally at the surface first began during its earliest evolutionary period, and in our era are only operative in regions of evergreen vegetation. At higher altitudes and in regions with more extreme climates, mountains, etc., these processes do not take place in such a simple fashion, and we find that the influence of the heat source in the Earth's interior is sufficient to displace the depot zone towards the surface. Here, nature invokes the aid of another factor. She plays off one opposite against the other, and with the coming of winter, she temporarily suspends the growth of the otherwise evergreen vegetation. The onset of cold causes the water in the ground to freeze to a certain depth, which, in keeping with the anomalous condition of water, gives rise to the progressive development of a hermetic seal from the outside inward in the form of a belt of frost. Snow cover lying above this cannot be pierced by the sun, which by this time has suffered a considerable loss in power due to the advance of the season. Whereas under the protection of this double outer covering, paralysis and peace prevail inside the earth, heat and nutritive material begins to accumulate. The stronger the influence of cold from outside, the more hermetic the seal, and the greater the internal accumulation. The pressure-induced lowering of the boiling point enables the superheat radiating from the Earth's interior to have an increasingly stronger effect at higher and higher levels. Above the power of the sun grows with the advent of spring. The outer covering of frost becomes thinner, ultimately to be breached by the forces emanating from below. Once freed, the heat streams upward, breaking up the soil, and encounters the aggressive meltwater approaching from above. Having a temperature of about +4 Celsius or 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. They always say that. This water hungrily ingests the rising nutrients. And the interim having come under pressure from below itself, it is now in a position to carry nutrients upward via the roots of vegetation. The supply of nutrient salts and their disposition in plants naturally proceeds in a similar fashion to that described above, and the explanations relating to this will follow in the forthcoming chapter concerning the laws of movement of water. To summarize briefly, the following interdependencies come to light. As mentioned above, the vegetation cover originally consists of primitive plants, already enables an improvement in the nutrient supply. On its part, increased nutrient supply creates preconditions for the evolution of plants of a higher order, which in turn leads to an enhanced influx of nutrients. From this, the mutual interdependence between vegetation and nutrient supply would appear to be established, giving rise to the unavoidable conclusion that the removal, clear cutting, of one type of vegetation suited to the respective altitude results in a disturbance in the nutrient supply, and hence to a further decline in the vegetation as a whole. Through the clearing of previous forested areas, or with the extinction of certain species of timber, a reduction of potential differences in the ground is caused by inhibiting the buildup of the respective counter temperatures. These are, in varying degrees, according to altitude, essential for an undisturbed supply of nutrients. Due to the now direct radiation from the sun, the denuded surfaces heat up to such an extent that the condensation process takes place at far deeper levels. Because of this, the deposition of noble salts, rare salts, once more, as was once the case long ago, occurs at such a depth that the roots of the plants can no longer reach them. Contemporary forestry has sanctioned the clearing of one area after another. Larger and larger surfaces have been laid bare without regard to the height and position of the sun. As a result, the area of receding groundwater expands. The distance between root zone and nutrient depot constantly increases, and the supply of nutrient salts becomes increasingly scarce. In short, the decline of the vegetation has occurred and the development of karst begins. For example, if potential differences in the ground are reduced by clear felling, if ground temperature change, if the groundwater table sinks, and if the nutrient depot withdraws from the root zone, then water, at best still available through atmospheric precipitation, and therefore almost devoid of nutrients, will be absorbed and drawn upwards by plants at appropriate temperatures. Spongy, coarse-grained wood, and the dying out of certain species of timber and plants are the inevitable sequel. In addition to this, however, there are a whole series of factors which immediately lead to the further degeneration of the vegetation. Through the extinction of certain varieties of timber, the continuity of the crown closure is broken. Now, it says distinction. I wonder how many were distinct because they were all cut down. The sun penetrates more and more strongly and directly. The uptake of water becomes stronger. The ground temperatures change. The depot zone of nutrient salt subsides, and their supply decreases at the same rate as the uptake of water increases. The excessive uptake of empty, content-less water loosens and coarsens the structure, and thus the profiles of the rising sap vessels become enlarged. The relative thermal influences from the leaf surface becomes all the more negligible. The greater the increase in the amount of water in the supply vessels, furthermore, owing to the subsidence of the nutrient salt zone, the uptake of nutrients and the concentration of carbonic acid closely connected with it decreases in the rising water. If on the one hand, it now becomes impossible for the sun, with the aid of leaf or needle surfaces, to influence and therefore draw an ever larger column of water up the widening rising ducts, then because of this, and also due to the simultaneous decrease in the concentration of carbonic acid, bubbles of carbonic acid gas will become smaller and smaller. Peace, Tammy Lynn. And I'm going to end it there because, to be honest, I didn't want to read, but I did anyway. I read 5 pages, like I said. And I know most people are bored, and today I'll be nice and I won't bore you so much. Let's see. Is that Hurricane? Welcome to the abyss. What's good, Hurricane? All right, now I'll open the panel and see, this is that I'm thankful for Google Pictures because I could scan this picture, right? and it'll pull up everything. It's mind-blowing. It'll pull up any article. It'll tell me what this is just by scanning the picture. Not many people know you could do that. I figured it out by accident one day. And yeah, especially when you got pictures on Google that have all those fucking watermarks on them, where you could scan them and find ones without watermarks. These people watermark the pictures like they fucking own them. So I'm gonna LLC all my material, so I could do the same. If people want to use my material without asking, like, you know. I just want my stuff to be known it's mine. All the hard work. I gotta fucking hike down in these tracks. I don't know if it's federal property, but this is right along the main Amtrak. I never knew this was here. Maybe I've seen it from other angles, but this side street I walked down, this is the dead end part. And these stairs go down below this ground level. So I don't know if this building was built into a hill, right? Just like the baseball field, that's pretty much, if you're standing looking at this, and then you turn right, straight down the road would be, you could see the side of the stadium. Now I know the stadium was built into a hill. That's why when you walk up to the entrance of the stadium, you're at the top of the seats, looking down. If I'm not mistaken, I think the old Yankee Stadium did that. No, I don't know. I don't remember. But that's the first time I've ever seen a stadium where street level, it looks like the stadium's underground. It's pretty dope. Not that anyone gives a shit. But this is the church that's behind me. You know, if I was standing looking at this, this church ain't that old, but I'm just wondering why it's abandoned, way hidden in the corner. It's weird. It's like hidden in this off street. The street that this stuff's on, not many cars go to this spot. And behind this building here is where the Amtrak goes. And then next to this, let me pull these videos up. Because I'm just going to show the pictures I have and explain them. And then I will look for stuff. If people want to come up, you can hit the link. It is what it is, but I might as well do this. See, this is that tower, right? And then this is it up close. I should have went around the fence, and I should have went up. I've shown pictures of this up close, but there's gargoyles on it, right? These gargoyles that kind of like, you could see them a little bit at the top there. You can see them coming out the side. There's literally these gargoyles, like they look like they're coming out of the brick. It's pretty dope. But that alone tells me that this wasn't just some fucking clock tower that was built in 10 seconds, as they say. This right here is on the train bridge, and you can see that wall right there. Now, in these woods is where I went. Which I think there used to be train tracks where there's all dirt there. I think there was more rows of train tracks because there's a loading dock in these woods. It looks like they just knocked the building down and then took away the rubble and then buried the underground structure. There's hidden sidewalks in there, like all types of shit. It looks like they just lazily buried it. Now this is a church downtown, right? What does that look like? It looks like this. So how are they going to say this is just a clock tower when these towers are on many churches in Hartford? It ain't exact, but it's damn similar. And there's about 6 or 7 other churches with the same towers. There's tons of them, even in New Britain, Connecticut. Probably all over fucking Connecticut. Now, this building, you got the bottom half and then the top half. I also have a picture of this building in the 1800s. And then this is the G. Fox building next to it, which inside, I want to go in there. It used to be a mall, right? And this building's tall. It goes up. I'm trying to see how this used to be a mall, but it did. And I think it goes underground. And the reason I say that is because on the side of the streets is this. And all these buildings on this whole main street, you go, no, not all of them. Just, it seems behind these buildings, it goes down. I want to know when they raised this or if it's always been like this. I don't think so. I think it was raised because of the floods that were going down. Because this street right here, in front of these buildings, you could take a left and it doesn't go down like that. Now here, you're kind of ground level with the streets behind. Not many people on YouTube does this in the US. I don't see many channels where people go out and do real investigating. Fuck Wikipedia. I'd rather put in the footwork and go to these places myself. All this shit they write on Wikipedia is just... This building was built partially to be knocked down. Like, shut the fuck up. They just make up stories on Wikipedia for a lot of these buildings. They make up some nonsense. Anyway, I don't know what it is about these buildings, but I love the architecture. But my favorite building is the one behind here, which is this. I want to go to this fucking tower and go up there. I mean, this building's architecture is so supreme. I wonder what the inside looks like. It's like some build. It has a big umbrella on the front of it, so people know the story of the umbrella with the Masons. There's a big red umbrella. You could kind of see it there. But this building, it's got high security at that. Because when I wait for the bus, I see them. They got like these digital scanners on these gates. Like, this building is highly secured for some reason. And it goes underground too. And also to the left of the building, there's an underground tunnel that goes behind me. You could go from the building underground, under where I'm standing, and come out across the street on the other side. Which I don't know if that's part of a fire code or what. But let me find some of these older pictures. Let me get rid of this. This. Here we go. Huh. G Fox. This can't be that G. Hold on. G Fox. Am I bugging? Nah, this ain't the same building. It can't be. No. But the G Fox building, I thought was this building. I gotta look it up again. I could have sworn this is the G Fox right here. And this is the inside of the G Fox. Back in the day with the huge pillars, the escalator. But yeah, this has to be down more. This is part of Main Street though, back in the day, man. I don't even know what year this is. 1880 maybe. They still got horse and carriages, which is odd. You know, they say horse and carriages, but you could find World Fairs in the 1820s where it was fully electric lit with plumbing and everything. They use electricity in the pyramids. These people be lying in these books, man. Let me find more. I want to find out what this used to be. Because if this is abandoned, I'm going back. I got to figure out a way to get in there. No, I'm not. I ain't going back. I'm lying. But yeah, I don't know when this closed. It's only a parking garage, but it does go underground, which is pretty dope. Now I got these videos. Let's see. I found these old structures. There's that tower, right, that I told y'all about. This phone blows everything back. See? This is next to the tracks. Check this out. This is underground. I was just up. This is fucking underground. As you could see, they filled it in. Up above, it's the open, it's like a parking lot. You couldn't even tell this is here unless you came down this trail on the side of the Amtrak. But this is like an old, it's part of the industry where the trains used to come this way. And this was the loading dock. But yeah, good find. Shit, I didn't even record. Fucking idiot I am. Right, I went over here to show this. You could see the ground literally separated, y'all. I was there. I'm not climbing back over there. But this wall comes all the way up. I mean, they filled this whole thing in. We're gonna find out what factory used to be here. And then there's the bridge for the Amtrak right here. Amtrak runs down this way, all the way down. This is right near that tower I showed y'all. They call it the clock tower. But I don't think it's any clock tower. I think trains used to run up, because you can see all these empty pieces. Now, for any one person to carry one of these, it ain't light, I'll tell you that. This wood is soaked in oil so it don't burn. I mean, this wall ends here.
And then on the other side.
Damn. So the other video I had didn't record. I went up to the train tracks, but obviously I'm gonna go back there anyway because I want to go down more and look at more stuff. I want to see if that church goes underground that I showed. So now I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna say the story Wikipedia tells on this bullshit. Peace, Boston, right? Thanks, Boston Ray. Appreciate it. Shout out to Boston Ray Mudflood. He has a lot of videos on mudflood stuff in Boston. A lot of other people do this in the US, but not many. I see a lot of people in Europe and stuff doing it. But there's tons of stuff in the US, especially Connecticut, which is large in Masonic history. There's obelisks and all sorts of just like the graveyard I showed. That's in downtown Hartford, which is weird. Like right next to skyscrapers, there's a graveyard that I made a video. It's in my videos from the 1700s and 1800s. And there seemed to be a lot of Masons or important people at the time. A lot of so-called black people are buried there, which should raise questions of who built some of this old architecture, because I think it's wild how the native tribes know nothing about these buildings, which is odd to me. They say they didn't build them. Oops. Shit. Oh yeah, I gotta write this down. 78. But like I was saying, which is odd to me. Let me check the chat. So that's one of the major questions I had. Is how do, if the native tribes are indigenous to this land, how do they know nothing about this architecture? If they've been here since the beginning. Now, when I say native tribes, I mean the natives that came over from, you know, that land belt or land bridge with ice in Alaska. They come from Asia, I guess. And there's all sorts of tribes. You got the Cherokee, and it's not just those native Asian tribes. You got so-called black people had tribes, Cherokee, the Blackfoot, there's tons of them. Shinnecock, I said Cherokee? I think I did. The Chickasaw, the Chippewa, there's so many of them. In Connecticut, they got what do they call themselves? They own a lot of casinos up here. All right, let me set this up. Yeah, Boston, Ray, I gotta go to your channel more often, man. I want to see what's going on in Boston up there to see. All right, let's see the clock tower. Oh, and these gargoyles. I got to see if I have these other pictures I took. There's apartment buildings that are old on the south end of Hartford. They have gargoyles on it. An apartment building with gargoyles. So my question is, did they brick it over and probably hide the original architecture? Because only old architecture has gargoyles. It's in London. It's all over the place. And a lot of this architecture you can find all over this realm. People call it this and that. You really can't put a name on it. You know, that's Roman architecture. That's Greek architecture. But how is that when there's so-called Greek and Roman architecture all over the place? Me, I love architecture. It's like art. It tells a story. The symbolism that's in a lot of it. A lot of architecture mimics the realm we live in. The domes and all that is mimicking the dome with the stars. And if you look inside Connecticut, the Hartford capital of Connecticut has the dome, and inside it has Polaris at the center. It's mimicking the dome that we live under. And then I think they have Lucifer. It's a woman. But I think Lucifer was a woman. They changed it to a man, though, the devil. But I think... So this clock tower is called the Kenny Memorial Clock Tower. It says the architect is Charles Coolidge Hyatt. Well, at least they got his name after me. Let's go to Wikiliar and see what they say. Kenny Tower is a memorial tower located in a small public park at Main and Eli. That's where I was at, Eli Street, north of downtown. It says it was built in 1898 as a memorial to a family member. Come on. Are you fucking kidding me? So they just built this for a family member's memorial. I mean, these people must think we're dumb. It says by a local prominent Kenny family. It is a distinctive local example of collegiate Gothic architecture and is the city's only freestanding tower. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1978. Since Kenny Tower is located on the northern fringe of downtown Hartford, from which it is now separated by Interstate 84. It is located in a park, 1.5 acres in the size. So, Eli. Well, it's facing Main Street, but it does go down Eli Street too. The tower near the center of the roughly square park its base is 30 feet square. Yeah, I don't care about that. It said it is built out of ashlar cut red sandstone quarried in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Because Mass ain't too far from it there. It vertically is heightened by corner buttresses and pinnacles that rise above its roof to finial crosses. There's clock faces on all four sides. It says it was the construction was done by the family under the terms of the will of Henry Kenny, who sought to memorialize his wholesale grocery business, H&W Kenny. The family, however, instead placed a plaque on the tower reading that this tower erected to the memory of my mother is designed to preserve from other occupancy the ground sacred to me. What, was her mother buried there? Because that's one trick many don't know. If you get land, bury a family member on it, and if they got something to say, tell them go fuck yourself. I'm burying my family here anyway. It'll become an estate. Yeah, I want to go inside of here. Oh, they got pictures of it inside. All they show is a winding staircase. I tried to open the door one time. It's locked, of course, because they don't want us. And these narrow windows. Let me download this. These narrow windows, man. Hold on. I should sign in on my laptop. Hold on so I can show you these pictures. I'm just waiting for this. All right. All right. Yeah. See, if they were smart, they would have shown the gargoyles on here. But they don't. Let me see some of these references. Nope. I don't want to go there. What's this? National Registry of Historic Places. So who gives the right to make something historic? And you know what I noticed too? There's always white people in these statues. That's it. No Spanish, no dark people, nothing. Always these white Masons like Pulaski, who allegedly led a crusade of Polish patriots. I was reading his statue and looked them up because there's Pulaski schools, everything named after that clown. Let's see. Oh, okay. The corner of Main and Eli. So it says classification of building, its ownership is public. So that's public property. So good. Let me copy this in case you try to play Chuck. I could say this is public property, skillet. Let me see. So I want to go check that church and see when that church was built. I bet you it says 1880s or 90s, or between 1870s and 1890s. So my question is, how did they get this heavy brick or stone? Some of these churches got heavy stones, like solid stone rocks with carriages, like horse carriages. You mean to tell me, and Massachusetts is pretty far away for a horse and carriage. If you had a car or truck, it'd be different. Maybe about a half hour, maybe a little less driving. But a horse, first you would have to get over the river and go north. A lot of this stuff don't add up, man. It's just these stories. Even Minds Unveiled, through his research, he was reading some of the stories they give for these buildings, and it's pretty funny. One giant, hold on, explore Kenny Moore. Yeah, I want to see what the inside looks like. Then, this is the picture I wanted. This architecture right here is kind of mimicking the seven heavens. You can see at the if you could zoom in on this picture on your phone or whatever, if you look at the door entrance, it kind of mimics the firmament's seven heavens. And I see a lot of that in architecture all over this realm. You know, in Europe, you name it, man. Russia, Canada, South America, North America, Australia, you name it, man. Wouldn't be surprised if they got it on the moon. No, I'm joking. AD 1898. So what does AD stand for? I know. AD stands for another delusion. After they added a delusional 1,000 years. Why don't they show the inside of this thing, man? That's my big question. They're so key into showing the outside, but you can't go inside. Let's see what this one got to say. Sweet. It's a good picture. Oh, what does he say? I know. So this guy wrote an article on this tower, and he said, I have thought about reaching out to some people I know to try to get up the Kenny Memorial Tower, and I may actually do it someday. But for now, let's just enjoy it from below. The tower was constructed of brownstone in 1898, blah, blah, blah. Same story they always tell that I've said 6 times. But, oh, wow. Oh, shit. And wow. This is a good old picture because, wow. Did the park here? There's houses in the background. This looks way different. I got to get this picture to show y'all. It looks like it was before that parking garage, and the sidewalks are different. It looks way better. They got white sidewalks. Let me see and download this picture. You can see the gargoyles. Oh, wow. So these people, Spencer Paget and Garrett Murphy, 19-year-olds, this is in 2019 in March, they got to go in. They're working to restore the Kenny Memorial Clock Tower in Hartford. Huh. I mean, so they're right up in there. Wow, this is weird. It's weird. Wait, let me take this picture too. Interesting. I wonder if the Kenny Memorial Clock Tower. So I want to see if I can find this thing in 1890s pictures. It said 1898. I'll put 1899. Give it a year. See what we can find. And I just rhymed without even trying. I can almost guarantee, I don't mean to jinx it, but I can almost guarantee there's going to be no pictures. What's this? This ain't Kenny Memorial Tower. The fuck is this? Don't tell me there's another Kenny Memorial Tower. I was about to say. They showed some other dusty ass picture. I'm like, that ain't Kenny Memorial Tower. Unless there's another one. Come on, they got that one picture. And also the Capitol has and the Capitol has like the entranceway, but the entranceway is an archway, a portal to the Capitol. And that thing tells a story of a war, just like many of these other buildings overseas, these archways. And there used to be a moat that kind of was, it wasn't kind of, it was like, there was a moat that was in back of the Capitol. But the problem with that was it would flood, so they had to take it out. But yeah, there was a moat, because the Capitol looks like a castle, because it is a castle. It's huge. It's got, and the thing about Hartford's Capitol of Connecticut, it's built with gold leafing inside. It's built with the best stones, granite, you name it, man. The best, heaviest stones. It's the most immaculate Capitol in the U.S. Out of all 50 states, in my opinion, Connecticut's Capitol is probably the best, the most illest as far as architecture. There's others that are good too, like New York City has a good one. Pennsylvania. I bet you Boston got some. Well, I seen Boston's Capitol, but Boston does have great architecture. And that's some place I want to travel soon. I haven't been to Boston since I was like 11 years old going to Fenway. This time, and no, it's not true. I went when I was 17 to do a side job. But other than that, I'm really never in Boston. And I really want to go up there to explore the city, put some boots to the ground. Like I said, not many people do that. Another, I'm going to go to Waterbury too, because Waterbury has this huge clock tower I want to check out. It was supposed to be built in 1909. That's another one on my bucket list I want to check out. I have a picture of it, but it doesn't do justice like going in person. Let's see, Waterbury. I think it's Union Station. You know, excuse me, New Haven, Connecticut was fun when I lived there. A lot of old architecture in New Haven was dope. So now I'm going to go to this church. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff in Hartford that raises questions. Like, I gotta find out what this is. I want to find out, excuse me, what factory or place was here. Somebody said a tire place, but maybe. So this is the church. It also says this was built in the 1890s. I looked at the plaque it has on it. But this is the building I want to look into right now. What does that say? 942 Main Street. Perfect. Is there a link still down there? Anyone? Guess not. Oh, wow. Is this the fucking inside of this place? No. You gotta be kidding me. Wow. The Residence Inn is inside of this building. And I mean, dude. Let me sign in on my laptop so I can share. It would be nice if I shared. Somebody better come up and keep me company before I go down there and fucking body slam somebody. Oh, you don't see the link? Dude! How did this happen? I didn't even change that. Like, dude. Like, dude. All right. Let's see. Beep. Oh, my bad. It says you got to connect your mic and cam, Tammy. I don't know if that's in the settings. You got to go to StreamYard and put OK so they can access your mic and cam. Actually, it should pop up. Yeah, it's not letting me bring you up. Damn, why does my thing look so large? Yeah, it won't let me bring you up, Tammy. I'm not ignoring you. So what was I gonna do? Oh, yeah. This is the building I'm gonna look at now. This building. We're gonna find
This was 942 Main Street. So let me take this off. Oh, here we go. There we go. Let's see. Oh boy. There we go. So this is the Brown, Thompson and Company, I guess. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's it. Crappy. Ooh. Oh, there's one picture they had here of the inside. Maybe it's not here. Guess what? So wow. This is weird. This is weird. So it's called the Cheney Building. Now, Divergent made a good point with these buildings, with the stripes that were made of red brick with white stripes, that these were old energy centers. Is it true? I don't know. But this type of architecture is everywhere. And if I say portals, look at the definition of portals. Portals are also doorways, right? It's literally a portal is going from one room to the next or one place to the next. You call it a portal. A window is a portal. Oh, wow. I could have went back more. 1875 it states, huh? It took 1 year to build that. 1 year with no cranes. As far as I know, they didn't have cranes. 1 year. And this building goes far back, too. It's not no small building. It goes down all the way to the back street where I showed you guys, the side road. Oh, Tammy left. It's because of your camera, Tammy. That's what it was saying. Maybe you got to go to the settings. Interesting. 1909. Huh. Interesting. Oh, shizzle pot. I never noticed that in the building. I never noticed this. It makes me wonder if a lot of the buildings had more structural decorations, like not structural, but more decorations on the structure, like gargoyles. Look, this is a fox. It looks like a serpent wrapped around the fox, or something's biting the fox. But either way, wow. You know what's crazy? I pass this building damn near every day, and I've never noticed these faces protruding out the leaves. It's pretty dope. I'm going to borrow this picture till I go there in person. You know, I gotta invest in a nice camera, man. Nice digital camera. I love taking pictures. I just think it's wild how nothing's coming up. Nothing really came up at all for this building. For the 1890s. It was built in the 1870s. Oops. Yeah, that's another building I gotta go to, the Hartford Armory. Man, this shit's trash.
This is the other church right here I'm talking about. It's on Main Street, but way on the other side of the city. It's Irish church. I've taken pictures of this one. It's abandoned. Colt Park. I don't know where that is. My gramps worked for Colt Factory, making guns. Bing, bang, boom. Christ Church Cathedral. Now this is the one I'm looking for. Bing, 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 bing. Wicked, wicked, big, big, wicked, wicked. Yep. This is it. This is the one I showed with the tower. Yeah, thanks for trying to help her out, Dom. I'm just checking the chat real quick, everyone. All right. I just want to see when this was built. It says, architecture and history. Christ Church Cathedral stands in downtown Hartford at the southwest corner of Church and Main, surrounded by a large-scale commercial buildings. It is basically rectangular brownstone structure. They use a lot of brownstone, with a square tower centered at its eastern end. The main facade is divided into 3 sections by the tower, each of which has a doorway set in a 2-story Gothic arched recess with a window above. The sides of 5 bays deep, with buttresses separating Gothic arched windows and brownstone finials at intervals along the roof line. The finial details are repeated at the top of the tower, which is surrounded by a low balustrade. Never heard of that word. A balustrade. It's a railing supported by balusters, especially an ornamental parapet on a balcony or bridge. Aha! Anglican. Is that Anglican or Anglican? I thought I was going to say Anglo-Saxon, but Anglican services have been held in Connecticut since 1702. The Episcopal Diocese. I'm from the Episcopal Diocese of Connecticut. We were organized in 1785 by Samuel Seabury. What a name. This church was designed by New Haven architect Ithiel. That was his name? Ithiel Town? Shut the fuck. Man, I gotta look into this guy. Ithiel Town? They just be naming shit. Who designed that city's Trinity Church. So, it's funny how a lot of these people design like 10 churches. So it says primary construction of the edifice. I think that's edifice. Yep. The construction of the edifice lasted from 1827 to 1829. I could see that. 2 years? What do y'all think? 2 years with horse and carriage and no electricity?
no tools but handheld tools, no electric tools. Bullshit. I think they had electric tools. And people say, well, Chuck, man, they didn't really have electricity. Well, if you look into Hartford, Connecticut, in the 1850s, or I think it was the 1820s, they had an electric car factories in Hartford, Connecticut, making electrical cars. If I'm gonna look that up next. In the 1820s, I think. I could be off by 20 years or something, but if I'm right and it's the 1820s, it says a lot. You know, I think in a lot of religion, that's what's hidden, is energy. That's everywhere. I'll call it free energy. Because it should be free. It's everywhere. That's why somebody took out that little boy, if it's a true story, for making a $14 energy generator. Is the story true? I don't know. It could be. Okay, it says with the tower designed by Nathaniel Sheldon Wheaton, after traveling to see country churches in England. Nah. You mean to tell me that's the excuse they got of why it looks like England churches? He went to England and looked at a church. And freestyled it. He took mental pictures of it, right? Mental pictures. No blueprints, probably, just mental pictures and drew it out. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it's not. But, Ithiel Town. We're going to check this guy out next. He's right here. So, Ithiel Town don't even have a fucking picture. And if it doesn't have a picture, it raises more questions and concern. Because you mean to tell me this man was this man was the architect of all these different churches, but you ain't even got a picture of the man? October 3rd, 1784 to good old June 13th, 1844, was an American architect and civil engineer. So he's a civil engineer and architect, but we're going to see. They better have a picture of him. One of the first generations of professional architects in the U.S. at that, and you ain't got a picture. Town made significant contributions to American architecture in the first half of the 19th century. His work in the Federal and Revivalist Greek and Gothic Revival architectural styles was influenced and widely copied. It should say and widely manipulated, but so he was born in Thompson, Connecticut, and died in New Haven, Connecticut. I wonder if he's with the Skull and Bones. I wonder if he designed the Skull and Bones building. His earliest important architectural works include the Center Church from 1812 to 1815 and Trinity Church from 1813 to 1816, both on the New Haven Green. And that's no bullshit. In New Haven, there's like 17 churches downtown. Just like New Britain. In New Britain, Connecticut, there's at least 8 churches in the vicinity, all downtown. Plus many, many others, like all over the place. The east side of New Britain has a beautiful big stone church with Gothic type architecture. Then there's one on the north side. I'm gonna get pictures of these. I've showed a few in my older streams. I had pictures. Maybe they're stored somewhere. I gotta find them. So those are the two he designed allegedly in New Haven. So what about Hartford? No way. They're saying he designed that castle? That's across the street from the building I like. This castle. On January 28, 1820, the town was granted a patent for a wooden lattice truss bridge, which became known as the Town Bridge. The design was of great importance because it could be built quickly by relatively unskilled workers from readily available material. The design also avoided the need for the heavy piers needed for stone arches. The designs was widely known throughout the world and made town wealthy. Town is said to have charged $1 to $2 per foot in royalties for these designs, or his designs. Town's design can still be seen in two of Connecticut's remaining covered bridges, Bull's Bridge in Kent and West Cornwall Covered Bridge in Cornwall and Sharon. Where's that? That must be like a town with one house. You go in and out of it quick. I gotta find out where this is. I want to see them. And in the Eagleville Bridge and the Shushan Bridge, or Shushan, in Washington County, New York. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, that's what he invented, that? This. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not a big deal. There's no way he built this. Now he formed an architectural firm. I'm still waiting for his picture though. Town also traveled in Europe during 1829-1830. So his firm lasted until 1835. That's it? 6-7 years? Shitty firm. For 18 months in 1832 and 1833, it operated as Town Davis and Dockin when James H. Dockin joined the firm. Their works include the state capitol in New Haven, the City Hall in Wadsworth Atheneum in Hartford, the Capitol Building of Indiana, which was demolished in 1877, was built in 1831. Get the fuck out of here. 40 years you're going to build a capitol and then destroy it? Nah. Maybe. It must have been the shittiest capitol ever. In North Carolina, 7 years to build that one, 1833 to 1840. And the U.S. Custom House, now Federal Hall National Memorial in New York City, 1833 to 1842. During this time, Town also designed the Potomac Aqueduct in Washington, D.C.
I gotta see this, man. Dude. What's this thing made out of? Fucking toothpicks? These pictures suck. You can't even zoom in on them. And what's up with the background? Let me download this so I can zoom in. Well, how come his name isn't here for designer now? Huh? I mean, what the fuck is this then? Is this them laying the cement down? A fucking blind person could design that. Alright. Now. I want to see. Alright, so this is all his so-called. This is a busy man. He was making. Oh man, he got the Groton Monument obelisk in 1826. He was all over the place, yo. Trinity Church. But what about the church in Hartford? They didn't mention that. Dude was designing fucking capitals. But yeah, they don't have the Church Street church here. Tom, you always got something funny to say, man. Most of those pics are from my basement train track. I worked here, Wesleyan University. That's the college where I used to paint. And man, women and men, but mostly women, would pose naked in these classrooms. And we accidentally walked in on one summer class. But yeah, Wesleyan is a wild college. It's pretty much for rich people. I mean, there's poor people that go, but it's mostly rich people from like Germany, like overseas. I think it's definitely what keeps Middletown funded, this Wesleyan College. Middletown is also next to the Connecticut River, which also would overflow, and still to this day overflows. There's a restaurant on the shores. I know it's all fun. I don't take it personal, Dom. Not at all. Now we could hear you.
Oh, I'm on finally. Hi. I've been trying, I promise.
Yeah, it's in the settings sometimes, and the settings on
Yeah,
these phones are a bitch to scroll through. Like so much stuff in these settings. I even have issues sometimes.
yeah. Well, it took me back through to where I had to give access, so to the mic and stuff. I don't know why it didn't take me there before. It just kind of took me to the backstage place and whatever. But yeah, it took me to the give access part. So that's probably what it was.
My conclusion, though, to this guy here, Town, he allegedly, I don't want to say created, but he shows the architect to all this stuff, but there's no picture of this man. He designed capitals in Indiana, like all this stuff, and there's not a picture of him. That's odd to me. Look, he even designed his penis right here. His obelisk penis. I mean, these things ain't hard to build. There's one in New Britain, but the one in New Britain is definitely Egyptian, because the one in New Britain has a bird on the top of the penis. I mean, the obelisk. And if you go into the Osiris story, right, when Isis turned to a bird and fluttered over, there you go. That's the penis with her as a bird. There's a story about that. And that in New Britain is like one of the only obelisks I've seen with a bird on top. Man, you gotta be kidding me. Let's see. Let's see if we can find this guy in his pictures. Oh, they do got a picture of Ithiel Town. Uh-oh. He's throwing up the W. Oh.
Sorry, I had to do something real quick, but I'm back.
Well, I found a picture of this Ithiel Town. That's his name, Ithiel Town. Just something about his name. Just who the fuck would name their son Ithiel Town? Like, I've never met anyone that had a last name Town.
Actually, I have a witch ancestor that was a town.
Oh, that was his middle name, Town. Or no, is this
It was
his
like
mother?
skeleton or something. Huh?
Oh, this is his child, Miss Etha Loring Town Peters. No, this
Ethan?
can't be. Hold on.
Almost sounds like another name for Esther. Easter.
Doesn't say much about her. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow. If this is what I think it is. Oh, okay. Whew. There's houses like this in Hartford, but this is in New Haven. He got a beautiful house, man. I mean, the churches he allegedly built in New Haven are fucking supreme. Dwight Hall, I think. Let's see. Okay. I thought Dom was coming up. I got Dwight Hall.
I have a lot to talk about. You should be up here. I'm just up here keeping you company and see if anybody else comes up. Unless there's, something I can talk about first. Certainly know how.
Let's see. Well, I appreciate you coming up, Tammy.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad I got up. Like the last few videos you made, I've tried to come up and I just didn't get nowhere. Like I can't hear you and you guys couldn't hear me. I learned, so yeah, I'm glad I got it fixed. Thanks for welcoming me.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you, there's catnip back here. I wish I could pass it to you. I was trying to tell you you had to fix the setting because it used to do that to me. I remember the first time, like 9 years ago, the first time I ever went on someone's panel, I think it was Bro Sanchez's panel. I tried to go up, and it was telling me the same thing it was telling you on my phone. It was like to turn your camera and speaker on, and I didn't even know what I was doing, but I figured it out in like an hour.
It didn't even do that. It was like I was in the show, but I just couldn't hear anything, and like those two things needed to be on. But I did put the unmute and turn the camera off usually. But yeah, it took me to the place where you turn on the cam and stuff. Give it permission, I guess. The permissions. Yeah.
So this is Ithiel Towns, or I think that's his name, Ithiel, we'll call him. This is the church he. I don't know if he drew the blueprints or what he did, but he allegedly was the architect in building this. And this is in New Haven. And this is a beautiful church. I know where this is.
That is beautiful.
Because I used to live in New Haven. I showed the pictures of the. I did 2 years in it was like a parole unit, residential, and it took me about 7 months to work my way up to sign out up to a level 1. And I would sign out and go to Yale and look at the architecture. There used to be a mall downtown New Haven I would go to too. And I remember I made $20 in the kitchen. I asked the father there if I could work. And I forgot how much I got paid an hour, man. It was like nothing. But I took my $20 I made and went and bought Old Dirty Bastards album. But yeah, the architecture is amazing in New Haven.
Thank you, Don, for the hugs.
I'm not even putting up with Cage's bullshit right now, man. It's inevitable, bro.
Is he here?
Yeah. In the back he is.
Well, I think as long
Not
as
putting up.
nobody's here to fight with. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, it seems you have pretty good patience. Gonna let it be for a minute as long as you can.
I let him up yesterday. And he started disrespecting fucking Max off the rip.
Oh, really? I must have missed that part. I was here some of the time.
Yeah, I'm tired of people coming up here and arguing and all that. Now, if you're debating on the topic, fine, whatever. But that even gets old. What's up, Dom? After a while.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Tammy.
Well, hi. I see you there.
Wow,
It's
look
kind of
at
got,
that.
yeah, it has got out of hand, Charles. You know, it's not your responsibility to always monitor our behavior. But unfortunately, a lot of people feel as though they need to denounce other people. That's why everybody has their own channel. So just have your own channel and bring it there. I'm glad to hear that you're sharing what you enjoy doing, Charles. I know you really like our architectures.
Yeah, I went out this morning to go look for that building that was buried. Now I just can't find what used to be there. I'm trying to figure out. I want to find old pictures. And there's so much more to look at. I want to find stuff abandoned in the woods or, you know, some gems that are hidden.
Hello. Some
I
gems that are
forgot to
hidden.
go over here. Wait till I make a video. I'll probably go there later today and show y'all. There's fucking abandoned factories, but they got a whole bunch of computer or generators there. It don't make any sense what they're for. Everything's abandoned over there. So why did they put fresh generators?
Well, there's a lot of architecture that gets built throughout the Earth's surface, you know, whether they're castles or even when they make fronts for like hydro places or, you know, like subways. Again, I think a lot of the tech's always been there. It's just it was never presented to the masses.
Like the masses of Massachusetts.
True. Like there literally could be a constant cycling and recycling going on, and then we get amnesia or something, and then some folks, whether Charles, me, or you, Tammy, just start remembering some of this stuff, and then we start, you know, scratching our heads, saying, you know, how did these things come to be? And even if you do understand how they come to be, what do you do with that information at that point?
Yeah, exactly. Me and Son on Yahweh were talking about that. Like, how would you express what you want to express that you only know or you think you only know? And like, how would you express it in the language? And it would be really hard to do so. So I would say you do it through action. some sort of action or something.
hmm Yeah, we always focus in on certain things. Like, so in this case, because I know you like it, Charles, we'll focus in, or some people will focus in on architect, but forget about the architect that's all around it, the clouds, the sun and the moon. Saying when people have thoughts, they just won't see a lot of other things and say, well, how did they come to be? As I'm using the word to try to describe those things. But again, it's still nice to look at it, and then you see a lot of angles, like in bricks and all that kind of stuff. And then we've had a lot of tech prior to that, like the Canada and Toronto, they have like the CN Tower, and then there's the Eiffel Tower. Russia has its own towers. And you can look at all the different bridges we have.
What about just regular Mother
Damn,
Nature
I'm muted.
in architecture? Not a lot of that done this way.
A lot of architecture mimics like the human body, or it'll mimic the heavens, or mimic our realm.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Sometimes I wonder, how do they mimic the dome, right? Like, let's say there is a firmament, and these capital domes, these buildings are mimicking our realm and the dome above. Well, I start questioning, how do they know this, and what's at the point where they don't allow us to go? Is there an actual firmament that comes all the way down? How are they mimicking this, and how do they know to mimic it? Those are the questions I have. Because we were exploring people, we traveled, and then all of a sudden, everything was explored and found, and no, they wiped their hands. No more. You got to get a passport to go anywhere. You can't go here. You can't go there. Everything is crazy.
Yeah, I know. I didn't need a passport when I was 17. That would have been like, what, was it 97?
I love Somalian people.
For Canada, but now you do, I guess. Need ID, but
I love the Somalian pirates. They're not bad. They're just trying to survive. When you got boats polluting their fucking water, hell yeah, you're gonna fucking. They live off the sea, and these people are polluting their fucking fishing area. But excuse me.
Yeah, it's like when you were talking earlier, like, what was the purpose of having gargoyles on some of these buildings? You know,
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that.
What were they trying to depictuate? You know, are they trying to say that demons, or whatever we want to call demons, look like a certain type of statue, or in this case, whatever the figure are? Again, that's more conditioning, but they literally could look like that. Or are we just talking about shapeshifters?
They must have been on a lot of shrooms too.
well,
They probably
demons
had some
are
visions.
parasites.
I think fucking, like, back then, I think they did a lot of elixirs and potions, and there was more people who were in alchemy, and I think they knew about plants, and they would do rituals and take shrooms, and they probably had some bad visions, so they created, you know, gargoyles and all this stuff. Or there could be shapeshifters. I think there were scientists who mixed animal genetics somehow with human genetics, and I still think graveyards are created for that reason, to I want to say not purify, but I don't know why I was going to say that. To keep the bones from deteriorating.
There's a crazy graveyard here where I'm at. It's all mounted up, all the graves, and they've been there for years, right? They have this big old mountain like they just got buried, and there's no way in this world that so many people have just got buried like that. And almost seemed like they raised from the dead and put their little things on the hill You know what I mean? It's really weird. Yeah, you can get full signal if you ever need full signal at graveyard. Mhm. I know that because I'm in the dead zone, right?
And even that, like I heard you say that, Charles, bad vision. It's a vision. Our deciphering of it, judging it, whether it's bad or good, shouldn't really be included at that point. That's why when a person truly becomes a channeler, they're just the receiver and the messenger. They're not there to decipher it for themselves. So these people that did it, probably would have been the few. It wouldn't have been the masses. It would have been mystics or shamans or witches. And they know for me to get in there, I have to get myself in order first. Because if not, then you're never truly ready for it. Then the person's physical apparatus gets in the way, or their mental state gets in the way. I said, no, just be the channeling of that information.
Do you think, like, I've heard these stories of people. I was watching Minds Unveiled. I like his channel. He does really good with his research. And the story it was about, I don't remember what it was about. It was in America, though. It was a native tribe that lived in the mountains. And inside of this mountain, it was a whole city that lived inside this mountain. And it was lit up with electricity. And you had to fast for 7 days before you were taken to this mountain. And in the mountain, the stone door would open up. You couldn't just find this place on your own. You had to have this alleged, but they would fast for 7 days. And even when you go to South America and you do, it's not shrooms, it's, you drink it. I think it's peyote or ayahuasca or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to fast before you do that. And I think I know why, because there's parasites in there. When you drink that and you start tripping, it might affect you in a negative.
Well, the thing is, Charles, the body, I guess, Charles, is the body is always trying to survive. It doesn't know better. It'd be different if you're actually growing plants and raising animals. Your body, hence body consciousness, would realize, okay, so you're doing a lot of supplement for us, so I shouldn't be fearful. But when most people go to grocery stores or go to restaurants, it's okay, but when am I going to be fed next? So now when people learn to fast, again, when you talk to people that are channeling, not people that have channels, that's just beginner stuff. Channeling, they already know what you need or want. They just want to see if you're honest first. You're going to ask a question, they might ask a question. I already know what you want, what you lack, or what you need. So at that point, people will try to sell stories. I said, so you're not honest with the self. So again, this is why when people do ayahuasca, most of them don't understand the diet that they have to take. And probably even some of the shamans are so beginners anyway. So think about who gave the human race the ability to actually, grow something called marijuana, hemp in this case. So again, a lot of that information is already out there. And once people realize that, because like right now, I break my silence by talking. I already understand what spoken word does. It opens up way more receivers than the written word does. But once you become aware of those things, then you say, oh, I've been playing a game with myself, with the self. This is why when certain people talk about where does language exist? But we don't realize how many. Go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah, exactly. What is language? Like, start to wonder, like Yahweh, as they call him, says, what does he say? The talkers that are hearing are telling lies or something like that? Or the people that are hearing, I don't know, isn't he here? Wasn't he here? I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Son of Yahweh. Son on Yahweh.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
here.
I call him.
Come up. Some of the stuff Son on Yahweh talks about.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But then
I don't want to say I agree, but I pretty much see it that way.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get off on. Like the only one that thinks type thing and everything. Because, I don't know how you convince yourself that that you are the only one or something, Some of it's hard. You gotta stay on the ground, and that's a good thing.
Well, what he's sharing is
Some
what's called
people
the
couldn't get
what he's sharing is what's called the eye of the beholder and the Plato's cave idea. So when somebody actually really truly gets into that, teachable energy of know thyself, then you can actually go beyond that and go to the observer. As I heard you say it, Tammy, you're still on a program because you said it openly. It makes sense. Okay, so the senses are the conscious state. So all senses could easily be misled. It's when you go beyond the senses and realize, okay, so I'm using my gut now. I'm going to use a word to communicate. I'll say the word intuitive, insightful. So then when somebody says, where do you see Russia? Somebody says, but I'm Russian. I said, well, where do you see Russia? What they're really trying to say is, where do you see the word Russia?
You're Russian?
What's that?
You're Russian?
Okay, whether you say Russia or Russian, where do you see the word that you just
If
spoke?
you would have said, yeah, I'm Russian, I would have said, slow down, take your time.
Okay, that may be true. But again, where do you see the word that you just spoke?
Where do I see it? Russian?
Yeah.
You don't see it, you hear
There
it.
you go. There you go. But you're hearing it, okay? So that means you've been entrained. Now, if you listen inward, you say, oh, so I have discernment. I don't see Russia. I don't see tree. I see something that's what some people would call the material. I'm still using a word to describe it. The word gives it away, describe. So once a person truly understands, because it's not somebody else's responsibility to understand. If they're trying to understand you, they're lost. So once you use discernment, and realize, oh, okay, so I don't see tree. No, you don't see tree. You don't see sequoia tree. You don't see sequoia tree in the forest. You don't see none of those words. That is called spiritual. What you're doing is you're validating over and over again the literal material. Now, if I spoke Latin, I could use the same different words to describe the same thing. If I spoke Hebrew, I would be describing the same thing. At that point, is this making people realize for themselves how they've been conditioned? Now, when they try to defend or attack other people's position, now you're just being deceitful. That's awareness. What most people call awareness is the words only.
Yeah, you should be able to handle like any refute. Is that what it's called, or rebuke?
Well, if you're true to yourself, if you're truly true to yourself, meaning that I value, let's say, Christianity or robbing a bank, and they talk that way and then they acted that way, like they manifested, then if somebody challenged you, I said, I'm going to stay true to myself. True to the self. I'm there to serve and be served by the self, not somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm never outside. When a person's playing with their senses, I said, are you out there or are you still inside? Hence the eye of the beholder. That's why I say jokingly, people will finally get it when their third eye truly, truly gets poked.
Yeah, that poking.
And
It
then you
kills me. I just wanted to add to it when you said know thyself.
Mhm.
It's kind of wild when a Christian will say it's how could I put it? When you say know thyself, and a lot of Christians say it's selfish to love yourself and all this stuff, but I just don't get how they think otherwise. It's not selfish. Sometimes in life you have to be selfish. Hey, who's gonna love you more than you? No one's gonna take care of yourself more than self.
You break it down.
Maybe just selfish.
But again, once you break it down, know thyself. It's not saying that you are the self. Know thyself. Be honest with the self. Love the self. You know what the self is in today's day and age? It's called AI. It's called the program, the conscious program. I'm not those things. So when people say self-aware, I said, so you got your program running the show opposed to aware of the self? Know thyself is a good start for people because then they'll realize what's the knower then. That's the thing that's running the self. That's called the subconscious, higher self. You can call it fucking God himself. But again, this is why people don't get at. They're saying it's like when somebody says it's my body. I said, why do you say it's my body? I mean,
So I think sometimes, Don, people say things because they're not realizing what they're saying. They're just so used to using the words and not paying attention
There you go.
I
You
do
got
it
it.
to
Because
myself. I do it till I catch myself.
Yeah, like being ignorant to the word ignorant.
like what we do with each other, we hear each other. But if you're truly meditating, listening from within, the subconscious is actually trying to communicate with you. That's why some people have to literally practice, the ones that have the ability to be in that sleep state where silence and stillness is. Because when you're in the conscious state, it's noise. Got to think about work. I got to think about right and wrong. I got to see whether or not I agree with this or disagree with it. We're being bombarded by the senses. And it's an easy 101 question. I look up in the sky, somebody manufacture a hologram and tells me that's the moon. I say, yeah, that just tells me my sense. It could easily be deceived.
What's up, Canadummy? What's kombucha? It's probiotic.
Yep. Fermented kombucha, fermenting foods. Yeah, that's all to help the gut. And when you help the gut doesn't have to work that much harder. So when you actually are communicating with the gut, it doesn't have to do two functions at once. Hence why people fast. And for some people, you got to fast for long periods of, we'll call it time. And then
I
you
started
meditate.
eating different. Like when I have cravings for sugary snacks, I bought a bunch of mangoes because they actually have seeds. And they know these mangoes look like there's nothing altered about them. And then I'm eating avocados now more. I'm trying to replace my trying to cleanse my system out.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good start for some people. Some people pursue it from the one part, the physical part. But if you're not ready to do the physical part, you can still do the cleansing in the emotional and mental part. Because there's other people that just have a physical healthiness to them, but emotionally and mentally they're not actually there yet. So those are different types of diets. So it's not what you just take in. It reveals how you speak outwards or what you write or how you move. Because again, the physical, it's an important apparatus, nevertheless. It's like saying the computer's very important, but what's the program running it? And we usually reveal to each other how we speak.
A language.
Almost like linguistic, almost. Language. Oh, that's valid.
I was looking at a picture of a Britishman and native tribe, and the guy was speaking, and all the so-called native, I'll call them natives, were sitting in a circle. And I'm thinking, how the hell do these people communicate? Because I've tried to communicate with people that don't know English, and it's not easy, especially like Spanish or Russian.
That's why I like dancing, because you can kind of get the feel of it.
I want to go inside these buildings. This building's heavily secured, though. I'm going to talk about the Masonic umbrella. If people watch, what's his name? I always forget his name. I just watched it the other night. I'm gonna go look him up. And Jay Dreamers, see, I was gonna go look him up, but the name came to me. Jay Dreamers had such a good video on the Masons and the Masonic umbrella, and one of the songs that went with it. And he said they wore top hats to mimic the gods or the rulers that had elongated heads. So they would wear these like long hats to cover the elongated heads to look like us. We are more or less like the genetic branch off of them. We're like the lesser gods. But and then the umbrella too. I forgot the umbrella was to keep, he said, the sunlight out, because these people allegedly came from above, maybe lands above or lands outward, who knows? But they couldn't be in the sunlight as much. You know, it's like we can. But I don't know how true that is either. And you know, I always think to myself, if we took care of our vehicle to the utmost, drank, you know, they have these machines that make hydrogen water, but I don't know what the body needs exact. But I know you need minerals and all types of stuff that you probably can get from inner earth. If you find a cave out there, you ever watch the videos of these people that go into inner earth to these caves? The water is so crystal clear. I want to drink some of that water. I would be filling up buckets of that shit, or gallons of milk. I would put it in the gallons of milk. But
Well, even that, Charles, when a person's, not saying I'm practicing it, where when a person is actually truly in tune with their body, the body, especially from the gut, will communicate with the upper brain, where the king and queen sits. But for a lot of us, we've allowed the king and queen to run the kingdom, but it ignores the rest of the kingdom. So the body will say, this is what I need to eat, what I don't need to eat. But for a lot of us, we're using our senses. Say, I go to a grocery store, I'll buy this and I'll buy that. Then we wonder why we become gluttonous, or we're just eating foods that based on our likes and dislikes, not because it's healthy for us. And the ones that are practicing it, we can either mimic them, like fake it till you make it. You imitate that because you've seen the results in them, and then maybe later ask, you know, how do you maintain all of this, and why do you do what you do?
I've done it. I've done it, Dom. I used to eat out of boredom, especially when well, sometimes I still do. I'm bored. I just would find something to eat because I'm bored, and that ain't good. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who stuff their face with all these terrible snacks. That's why in America there's so much fat people. Only in America.
It's the convenience at that point. So boredom is usually an indication of sadness. So a lot of us, when we're bored, we'll play video games, porn, do this online stuff that we're doing. So what ends up happening is we're sad because there's something gone away from within us. And then we get distracted from outside. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking for gold, but I'm looking outside and not realizing I'm in it. You know, that gold is that information, that conduit, how to communicate. And it'll take a while for a lot of us. And then, of course, we have to deal with the energies too. So in this particular case, we could be around other people's energy that's very, you know, toxic to each other, or confusing in some cases. It might not even be toxic, it's just confusing. So again, the people that are actually practicing it, they're working with nature, they're helping their vessel, they're stewarding their vessel, they're stewarding nature. But unfortunately for a lot of us, we've become civilized, domestified. And then when we start complaining, it doesn't really serve us, because who are we complaining to? Everything's already here. You know, anything that's man-made is we have to put a lot of effort, and that usually comes through mastery and slavery. But outside of that, how many of us would truly want to live in jungles or forests?
Not many.
Not many. Okay, so then we have to actually say, okay, how can we find a middle compromising for ourselves? Forget about others, because everybody's going to have their own agenda, including us. We're going to have our own agenda. And if we can get away with something, most people will. Like, I can't expect a grocery store to have my interest. Same with government, same with religion. You know, and then when they, whoever they may be, to keep us distracted, say, okay, let's give them the earth shape. Oh, okay. Let's give them something else. And I'm like, okay, so how does that serve me with suiting my vessel? Especially when I'm reawakening myself and say, okay, so I've done a lot of damage to myself. And it's really no sense after a while when you're pointing fingers. Oh, do I blame my parents? Do I blame my forefathers? No. That doesn't serve right now, because my forefathers said, listen, if we had the same grocery stores that you have now, we'd be in the same position.
Damn. Fucking, I'm trying to get this picture of this abandoned parking garage. I'm right here. I was looking at this picture for the parking garage that's abandoned. I think it's a parking garage. I'm trying to find out what type of building that I found abandoned near the tracks. Because if it's, I think if it is what I think it is, I want to try to get in there, just to, you know, not to dump, to cause damage or nothing, just to look around. But I'm trying to find out which street. I know it's Eli Street.
I'm wondering if the positioning. Sorry, Charles. I was going to say, I'm wondering if the position of some of these buildings play a part in how they got constructed.
Me too. No way. No way. Hey.
Okay, Charles, I'm going to step down. Continue having a beautiful share on architecture. I know you enjoy it, and I actually enjoy hearing you talk about it.
All right, Dom. Thanks for coming up.
No
I
problem, Charles. And
appreciate
thanks,
you.
always. Thanks, Tammy, too, also.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. And I'm probably going to end it here for now. I'm going to gather up a bunch of information on a few of these, some architecture. I'm going to gather up all my pictures, actually, that I have. And then I'm going to dig up some 1800s pictures, and I'll do a part 2 in a few hours. I just want to get everything ready, so I'm not doing what I'm doing now, kind of ignoring people. Not on purpose, but so let me gather this information, get everything set up, and I'll have a part 2 with all. I'm going to line up the old pictures till today to see the difference and change. And people should check out Boston Ray's channel. He was in the chat earlier. If people want to know about Boston and Massachusetts architecture, that's the place to go, man. But I appreciate you all. Thank you, Tammy and Dom. And I will see you guys in a little while. Peace out.